UvaldeRadio.net is your concert station. I'm Robert McGill, and good afternoon to you. It is Friday. Lots of cool stuff happening this weekend, including the big Uvalde Honey Festival. But if you're not too partied out, tomorrow, Saturday night, there's a cool show at Ruby's Lounge where Uvalde Radio does our open mic night. We do our rock night there, and it's just actually the best bar in town, coldest beer, great staff, and they've got live music tomorrow night with Max Rios and the Waysiders. I believe they're doing their album release party, but anything I'm not sure about is going to be all clarified, because right now, I've got him on the phone right now, Mr. Max Rios.
Hey, Robert.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, Robert, for allowing me to speak to your listening public. We're very excited. We have not only do we have a new CD, it's called The Underdog Diaries.
Cool.
We're going to go back. I played at Ruby's solo acoustic back in April, and then they invited me to bring the whole band, and so we found a date. It's going to be June 10th, which is tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. So we'll be playing, all our old stuff, all our stuff. I'm originally from Houston, Texas, but I live in Bastrop now.
Okay.
And I have, this is my fifth EP meaning 5 extended play.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my fifth. So we'll be playing stuff from the others, but more importantly, we'll be focusing on our new song, and our latest single is Angelina, which is, I just released it last Friday. We played at the Houston Continental Club, and that was our first night playing. So Uvalde's going to get the second night. Hopefully we've worked all the bugs out of the set.
That is fantastic.
We're excited.
Well, now we've got the song Angelina. We're going to play that here, after this segment, after we're done talking to you. Now, you're kind of based in the Austin area, but like you said, you're from Houston early on. If I'm not mistaken, Waysiders, the name of the band, has some meaning into the Houston area, right?
Yes, sir, it does. We grew up on the east side, on the barrio side. I always say, a lot of people say don't go by there, but hey, there's good people that come out of the east side. And so, there's a street. It's called Wayside Drive. If you're familiar with Houston, Texas, it's on the east side, and it goes and it dissects, the east end of Houston, and it'll hit like I-45, which goes to Galveston, and then it hit I-10. But it just kind of runs parallel with the city of Houston. And I always give credit to the person they call the Houston Kid, because Rodney Crowell grew up on Avenue P back in the day, and everybody knows Rodney Crowell.
Right.
Stars on the Water, Louisiana Saturday Night, and on and on. Shame on the Moon, which Bob Seger had a hit. So I always give credit to like, hey, there's a famous songwriter that came out of East Houston. You know what I mean? So so we named our band because we grew up. Most of us grew up right there in the neighborhood. So we said, hey, we'll call it the Waysiders, I just like the way it sounds.
Yeah. Speaking of the Waysiders, let's go ahead and before we get into you're talking about the music, give me a quick intro of the band. Who are they and how long have you known them?
Well, Odie Rodriguez, he's the bass player. Joe Lopez is the drummer, and this goes way back. Because Joe and I have played for like 30 years, 35 years. We used to play in a Tejano band called Latin Image, and we used to play Uvalde all the time. We used to play at the Civic Center back in the day, back in the early 90s, 92. I think the promoter, I can't remember, his name was Robert. I think it was Torres. And we used to open for Emilio and Mas, and so Joe's been playing with me all this time.
There was that era, if you don't mind me interrupting, there was that era where after the Purple Sage closed in Uvalde, where everything was happening at the Civic Center, right? And that's kind of that era?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, one time we were supposed to play at the Purple Sage with Excelencia, and I learned my lesson because it was Christmas Eve. Never play on Christmas Eve. Nobody showed up. We went out there, and there wasn't. There may have been like 2 people there, but then we just went back to the hotel and bought some beer and had fun with each other. Just drinking, because nobody showed up. So I learned my lesson.
Yeah, that's a tough sell for sure. Absolutely. Again, we got Max Rios here from Max Rios and the Waysiders. Go ahead and finish talking about your band if I interrupted you there.
Sure. And then we have the accordion player that we're playing with. We normally play with Robert Rodriguez the third. He's out on tour right now with a band called the Trim Loco, so he's not going to be with us tomorrow, but we have a real special guest for tomorrow, Michael Guerra. I don't know if anybody's familiar with his work, but he lives in San Antonio, and he's played with the Mavericks, the big band.
Wow, yeah.
And, so he's playing with us tomorrow, so it's going to be a really, really special evening. I played with him before, and luckily he was available. Sometimes, and the guy's really busy, and I just happened to call him and said, hey, Robert's out on tour right now, and he's been gone since April. We're kind of, I hope it goes successful for him, but I'm like, man, please come back because we need you. And tomorrow, our keyboard player, Joe Moses Gutierrez, who also played with me in Latin Image, he's not going to be with us tomorrow. He just couldn't make the gig tomorrow. So we're going to go 4-piece tomorrow. It's going to be accordion, guitar, bass, and drums only. But normally we carry keyboard player, which this Joe Moses, like I said, he was with me back in early 90s. And on Angelina, I brought back my old buddies that played trumpet, so we have brass on there. It was Vincent Pena. He did the arrangement on the... But we're not going to have those guys.
Right.
If you listen to Angelina, it's essentially Latin Image, which is the same band as Joe Moses, Joe Lopez, myself, Vincent Pena, on that CD, on that record. And it was the original Latin Image minus the singer and the guitar player. But anyway, it's kind of cool reuniting and reconnecting with these old guys. And we're all, we've all been around a long time. But the Waysiders has been my project for the last 12 years. I've been doing it. I've been fronting it. And it's kind of a Tex-Americana, kind of Texas music, but also there's that little Tex-Mex in there. It's hard to shake all that when it's kind of like you are what you eat. If you eat gumbo, you're gumbo. If you eat menudo, you're menudo. You know what I mean?
Well, I like what you said there. I like what you said there, Tex Americana. I'm pretty sure you coined that phrase because you don't hear that, that too often.
I kind of made that up, because I kind of try. People will always say, well, where's your music come from? What is it? And I'm like, well, I'm not sure, but it's kind of Tex-Mex, but it's also Americana because I grew up listening to, rock and roll, country when I was a little kid. My parents, they would drive me to school, and I was listening to Tanya Tucker and Ronnie Millsap and all that. It was always in the background, playing, but also Little Joe, all that stuff was in there. And then so when people would make fun of me, the guys would make fun of me because I would play guitar. They said, man, it sounds country. And I'm like, I'm not trying to sound country. It just comes out that way. But I think it's part of...
Yeah, it's in your DNA at that point. It's in your DNA for sure, man. I want to talk about the new record specifically, but for those who are maybe just hearing about you for the first time and are interested, is your music online maybe on Spotify, or how can people digest your back catalog so far? And how many? Give us some more details about those previous EPs and how we can find them.
Sure. All the EPs are available. All of them are available on all the platforms, Apple Music, Amazon. I don't have any physical CDs for this one other than when I go to gigs, because people just don't buy them. And, they are available on cdbaby.com. You can stream them at all the streaming platforms like iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon's, YouTube, and you can, download them and stream them from there. And I also want to mention that on this new song, Angelina, a good friend of mine that helps me out quite a bit is Joel Guzman, he's a world-famous accordion player. He did the accordion on Angelina, and he's done accordion for me on 4 other songs on the other EPs. The first EP was called Fork in the Road. The second EP was called St. Jude by the Dashboard Light. The third EP is called Dream Carousel, and then the fourth was Shaking the Fences, and now the newest is called The Underdog Diaries. And Joel Guzman has played at least 4 cuts in those 5 projects, and I'm always thrilled to have him on. And every time he does something, he just gives me he has all this wisdom and advice, and like, do this and do that, or keep that up, keep pushing this, or head this direction. You're heading your own direction, and it's always a pleasure. Listening to him because he's got so much wisdom.
Well, it sounds like you've got a great team that you work with and that you like to... It sounds also like that you're easy to work with. And it's always impressive to me when I can talk to a musician who has a core group of musicians that they can work with. Sometimes, people burn bridges, make enemies, or just don't get along in the studio or on the stage. And it's always a treat when you can kind of tell that you're talking to somebody who other people enjoy working with. And it sounds like that's what you got, a good, tight, knit group of guys.
I've never heard that, but that's very interesting. I thank you. That's a great assessment. I love music. I've been involved with music all my life. And, I think music, 99.9% of the time. Mm-hmm. I tell my wife, I love you, baby, but, music's always there. You know what I mean? It's always in the background. It's a life force. And yes, as long as I can keep playing it, it's like at this point in my life, I just want to have a good time and play and enjoy music and being a part of it because, it's a lot of work, but at the same time, and it makes people feel good, and it makes me feel good.
Sure. And
it's about sharing. And hey, man, if I can do this another 20 years, I'd love to. Sign me up. You know what I mean? I'm here.
Now, you mentioned your wife. Let's go and talk a little bit about personal stuff here. Is she your muse? Do you pull from personal experience, whether it's that relationship with your wife or other family? Does this influence your songwriting and what you're making there, you're creating?
Well, my wife, at Rios, has been with me 10 years. When I was doing the Tejano thing, we dated. And people think, man, they thought she was crazy, thought I was crazy. We dated 10 years because I didn't have anything. I mean, I was like, man, we get married and I keep doing this. We're going to live in, in a parking lot somewhere.
Right.
But she stayed with me, she stayed with me. And, so that was back, since 89, 87, somewhere in there. I've been married 26 years, August. I got to get that right.
Now, do y'all have kids, and are they going to be following your footsteps in getting into music, if so?
I have 3 kids. They're grown up, and they don't want nothing to do with music.
Happy Father's Day.
They all learn instruments. They all play, but they and I didn't ever want to push it on them because they've seen how they've seen how it's a struggle. They've seen the disappointments and there's been high points and low points, but I guess it's like every child when they see their parent, whether it's construction or auto mechanics, they say, "Why is our car always broken?" That's fixing everybody else's car. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they probably like, I don't really want. And my son is really, really talented. He can pick any instrument up, and I'm like, how can you play drums? I don't know how to play drums. But they just I know they enjoy it, and I think they'll come back to the enjoyment phase of it. But they've chosen a life away from it. And my youngest daughter just graduated, so and she's not in music, which is cool. I never wanted to push it on them.
Yeah. It's got to be their dream, not yours, right?
Yeah, it's a tough life.
Well, it sounds like you've got a good head on your shoulder about the whole thing, and you're having a great time, a blast. Again, we're talking to Max Rios here from Max Rios and the Waysiders. They're performing tomorrow, Saturday, June 10th, at Ruby's Lounge, 636 East Front Street. Showtime is stated as 9 p.m. Is that what time you guys expect to hit the stage?
That's what I was told, 9 to 12. And first 20 people through the door, we get a free the Underdog Diaries CD. And the reason I call it the Underdog Diaries is because I kind of look back at all my music, and it's always about the underdog, the guy that didn't get the gig, didn't get the girl. He's always trying, what I mean? Didn't get this, and he's always trying to be the guy. But and it's that struggle.
So with this EP, as far as musically and lyrically, content-wise, how would you compare it to your previous 4 EPs? And what would you say is the personal growth, if any, that you recognize?
That's interesting because my wife, she just said, it sounds, your lyrics are more mature. And I said, I don't understand what you're saying. She says, they just sound more mature and assured. And I said, well, that's because I'm getting older. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's one thing she noticed. She said, it just sounds more mature. There's a song on there called For What It's Worth. And I was working at a place 2 years ago. And I was really upset with my boss. And we were just not hitting it off. And I caught myself, like, I was thinking, like, all these counter arguments, and I was having all these war games in my mind. So when he says this, I'm going to do that. When he says this, I'm going to go over here.
Right.
And I just said, stop. You're driving yourself crazy. Stop. And then I just said, for what it's worth, just let it go. And that's so I named the song. So that's what it's about. And I think I kind of like shadow a relationship. That sometimes we do this to each other. You know what I mean? We're setting each other's up. Like, I can't wait till she says this, because when she says that, I'm going to go over here. Or
right.
When he goes and does that, you know, and it's like all these. And I said, let it go. Stop. You know, just walk away, and it's okay. You can walk away, but you have to have some inner peace. So, and then, I don't know, maybe I hope that comes through in the song. But my wife said, you know, it just sounds more mature.
Yeah.
I mean, and rather than engaging, just, you know what, not even worth it. Just let it go. You know,
well,
so that's what that song's kind of about.
I'm looking forward to checking out the whole EP and kind of diving into your lyrics. You sound like you got some good thoughts to share with the people. So, again, the show is tomorrow night, 9 p.m., Ruby's Lounge. That's on the north side of Uvalde. Now, what is cover? Is it like $10? Is that what I'm hearing? Or
$10. Yeah, it's $10.
$10, not a bad deal, because you get a CD if you're the first 20, so that's great. Also, they got great cold beer and drinks at Ruby's. It's also BYOB, so you can bring your own bottle, $5 bottle charge, and then they got setups available. So if hard liquors, you know, your preference, bring it on over and check out Max Rios and the Waysiders. Max, what's the best way to find you guys online, your website, social media, all that stuff?
Yeah, the easiest way is www.maxrios.com. And it's
easy.
Really simple. Yeah. If you want to email me, max@maxrios.com. And I'm a local dude, so I usually answer all my emails. Final
parting thought here is we're going to play your new song, Angelina. Give us a backstory lyrically about what the song is about, or maybe musically, you know,
Sure.
how to come to you.
Well, this song, actually, my mom passed away in February 2016, and, you know, as everyone loses their mother, you're bummed out. And I was bummed out, and I had gone back to work. They gave me some time off. I went back to work, and I was in a hotel in Phoenix, and just sitting in the hotel. I always take my guitar wherever I go, and just came up with this lick, the opening lick. I recorded it on my phone, and then life went on, you know, and that year I only wrote 2 songs, and I wrote that lick and one other song for her. The opening lick is 7 years old, and when we started talking about recording new stuff, I showed the guys, Joe and Odie, bass player. I said, hey, listen, this is a little lick. I think there's something there, and I said, I want to name it Angelina, which my mom was Evangelina, but then all the relatives would call her Angelina.
Right.
But and then I would go talk to my dad, and he would say, he lives in Victoria, Texas, and he's like, yeah, I've got insomnia. I can't sleep till I don't go to sleep till 3 a.m. So I kind of made up this story of you know, kind of tied the two together in homage to my mother, you know, and so the song is not directly about my mother, it's not directly about my dad, but it's influenced, you know, by both. And I kind of just said, hey, this is just a nice way to pay tribute to both, you know, and saying, you know, hey, this song's not directly about you guys, but it was kind of a thought of a
inspired. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Yeah. Well, let's get it on the air now. Again, we're talking to Max Rios from Max Rios and the Waysiders. The EP release party is tomorrow, Saturday, June 9th, over at Ruby's Lounge. Again, 636 East Front Street. Showtime at 9 p.m. $10 cover. First 20 get a free CD, an EP there, and it's going to be a great time. And again, the website, maxrios.com. Super simple and easy. Stream the music, buy the stuff, whatever he's got on there, man. We're looking forward to seeing you, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you, Max. We appreciate you checking in, okay?
Thank you, Robert. Thank everybody from Uvalde. We look so forward to being here tomorrow and hopefully meeting, you know, part of Uvalde. You know what I mean? So come on out.
Well, here it is. This is Angelina. It's Max Rios, and this is Uvalde Radio. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Robert.